All right, Eric, it is the Wednesday Q&A where the board over at IT, they ask you questions, you answer, we bring them into the video format. If you guys want to join Inside Texas, you can do it for only $1 for your first week and get a full year of access to The Athletic. There's tons of questions on there that you don't see on the video, so go ask Eric directly and he will respond to you. Let's not waste any more time here, Eric. We will go into question one. Hindsight is 2020, but seems to be a bit of roster management to not have added any proven elite or high-level players on the offensive side of the ball to go with Arch. Seems we are SEC average at wide receiver, offensive line, and running back, and went into the season with not enough definitive knowns on offense. Do you think these offensive issues ultimately keep us from being a legit top five team, assuming we continue to get Sam Houston version of Arch?
Yeah, first of all, I'd push back on wide receivers. They're not elite yet, but I think they've got the chance to get there. We've seen signs of it with Livingston making amazing plays against Ohio State and some other plays. He's been pretty good at getting open. Arch knows how to find him. They seem to have a pretty good rapport. But Wingo is the one that can really take it over the top. We saw the big playability from him, but also doing the little things. He was getting open and converting the catch. That's number one, because we know he's going to be a yak monster. Yards after the catch are going to be right up his wheelhouse. And then get DeAndre Moore. DeAndre Moore was the number one graded wide receiver in the country this past weekend. And we saw him being, last year he had a lot of drops or too many drops, and now it seems to be a lot more reliable. Went down and made a couple plays for Arch. I think I push back heavily on the wide receiver assertion. I like the wide receivers. They're just, they weren't proven like you might want coming into the season, but the talent is there, and we're starting to see them play a lot better. It's good getting more back. Now, the offensive line and running backs, I can't really say the same thing there. I think the running backs can become league average. Obviously, a lot of that's going to depend on, the passing game is going to have to keep making strides. And at the same time, the offensive line is going to have to improve week to week. The offensive line remains my biggest concern. It was, a pretty big concern coming into the season, particularly right tackle and left guard. Left guard seems to still have some issues. They're rotating different guys there. But Connor Stroh played a lot better this past week, played with a lot more certainty and understanding, played faster than he had in the past. It seemed like he was thinking less, and just in general had a better game. But the offensive line, I think the best we can hope for with them would probably be league average by the end of the season, maybe a little bit better. But wide receiver, I like the wide receivers. Running backs are going to be okay, not great. Offensive line remains a big question. Now, if you get the Sam Houston State version of Arch week to week, it's going to make everything else look a lot better.
1,000%. And speaking of wide receivers, how is Emmett Mosley healing up?
Well, he's running, and he's running more and more. He has not gone back to practice yet. A lot of the guys that are coming back, Trey Wisner and Alex January are the two big ones for the Florida game. Aren't going to start practicing until Monday. So if he's back, it probably won't be until Monday. We've kind of targeted the Florida game for his first availability. Until he's practicing, we don't know for sure. It's not a serious injury. We know Sark likes to play the long game with these guys. Sark anticipates playing in January. He's not going to be worried about rushing what he considers a known commodity back in September. But obviously, the wide receiver room could use a jolt. We just talked about wide receivers. They could use another steadying hand. But they're not going to rush him back. We'll see if he's practicing Monday.
Then, of course, we're going to have our O-line segment. What's the deal with Nato? Is he really that bad with assignments? Is he in the doghouse? Is his floor really that much worse than Stroh's? Something off field? Thanks.
Well, I mean, he's obviously in the doghouse. Whether or not we might not know the reason. It might not be for attitude or anything like that. But I mean, he hasn't been playing nearly as much as we expected coming into the season. We had that big surprise development where he didn't even start against Ohio State. Now, I honed in on him this past game. I think he got 25 snaps or so. The question I had about him is he didn't look nearly as quick as I was expecting. That's a bit of an issue. But right now the coaches are riding with Stroh, and Stroh did play better this past week. Nato, the assignment soundness issue has been a real thing. That's been the real thing since day one. It's not just some internet invention. We've been talking about it for a long time. That still remains to be the case. For whatever reason, they feel more comfortable going with Stroh.
All right, you're offensive line coach now, Eric. After 4 games, in your opinion, what should the starting 5 on offensive line look like?
I mean, look, my opinion is not going to be better than Kyle Flood's. Kurt Flood, former baseball player. Kyle Flood. So, if we're going to go by what I say, they should fire Kyle Flood right now, because I don't have the experience or even the insight and understanding of his current players that he does. Seeing the All-22 pretty much every game has opened my eyes quite a bit that they do have some serious issues. I've kind of wondered why they haven't gone with Connor Robertson at center and Cole Hudson at guard, just to get more experience at guard and basically raise the floor of play there. That's kind of something they've worked out in practice, but we haven't seen it in games yet. That's something I would try, but I've got to go with Kyle Flood here. The guy's had some of the best offensive lines of the last decade. In offensive line, it's not just something you can get by with talent. They have to be cohesive. They have to be cohesive, well choreographed. I don't care how talented those lines were at Alabama. They moved in sync. It was a thing of beauty. It wasn't just natural athleticism. They were coached well. For whatever reasons, we're not seeing that right now. They are better week to week, at least. And they got to keep progressing, though, if Texas wants to reach its goals. But I'm just going to ride with Kyle Flood. Whatever he knows, it's more than me.
Quick timeout. If you have a move coming up in the Dallas area, put real estate agent Josh Holden in your starting lineup. He's a UT grad, a lifetime Texas Ex, and he scouted every inch of the Metroplex. From Highland Park and Preston Hollow to Uptown and Old East Dallas, Josh Holden knows the market, and he's going to match you with the perfect home. On top of that, he has years of experience in commercial property management, so he has the playbook for contracts, curb appeal, and everything in between. Bottom line, Josh Holden is an easy win. He is reliable, savvy, and he helps you close with confidence. Reach him at josh@joshholdenrealestate.com, or you can call or text 972-917-8081. Contact info is in the description. Next up, we got a quarterback question. Is Trey Owens hurt, or did he get passed by KJ Lacey? If you noticed, KJ Lacey came in versus Sam Houston. Trey Owens did not.
Yeah, I don't know if he necessarily got passed by Lacey so much as Sark's style of quarterback has changed quite a bit, and it's not gone in the direction of Trey Owens' strengths. Sark wants quarterbacks that are using their legs more. That was the reason they brought in Caldwell. You saw him rip off a long run the other day. He's got good mobility. KJ Lacey obviously has good mobility. The second they signed KJ Lacey, you watched Lacey's tape, and it looked like they were trying to replicate Bryce Young. So he's got better movement ability. Now Trey Owens is a very talented passer, but a pocket passer. I think it's just bad luck of timing with Owens, with Sark trying to get quarterback legs involved. Diabella is a good athlete. He's coming in next. And he's identified that as and really, I think it's part of the struggles they had with Quinn Ewers in the red zone is they want to use those legs. We're starting to see Arch get a lot of touchdowns. So Trey Owens wasn't passed necessarily due to anything he did wrong. I think it's Sark just going with a philosophical change at the position.
And then we felt like the offense was much simpler against Sam Houston State. Do you think we keep it that way or build back to the exotic motions and schemes?
I mean, we're going to see more motions. We're going to see the running backs involved more. We'll see different personnel packages. We haven't seen a whole lot of two-back personnel packages. We'll see that more this season. There's a lot more bells and whistles and stuff. That's probably going to – I joked in the response to this, I joked that you're probably going to get a lot more everything, including pre-snap penalties. But, yeah, there's a whole lot more for him to we haven't really seen a lot of the screen game. There's a lot left. But, Sark is trying to get Arch confident, which I think, they took major strides for this last weekend before he starts building things out and putting more on his plate. Let's do the basics first. Hopefully Arch is now doing that. And then they'll build it out. But obviously they're not going to show a ton against UTEP and Sam Houston State and San Jose State. So we'll start to see a lot more. There's a lot more left in the bag for sure.
And then finally, we got one defensive question. Guys, on the Q&A, ask about the defense too. It's been several weeks of I can't even find one. All right, and he's replying to something you said, but the main question is, I realize a lot can change, but Hill isn't setting the world on fire statistically. From a sample size of 151 snaps, he is on pace for 48 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 0 sacks this season over 12 games. Is there context we're missing here, Eric, or is Anthony Hill just the biggest bust of all time?
Yeah, Anthony Hill went from 13.5 career sacks to 0, and he forgot how to rush the passer. No, that's not it at all. They've been very vanilla on defense. We've talked about that every week. Even against Ohio State, they were pretty vanilla. Now we started to see them build out all these different packages and looks on last Saturday, and it was quite exciting. But then they played so many different guys, there weren't a lot of snaps to go around. Once we see stuff like that, and then Anthony's getting 50 snaps a game, the production's going to be there. Nobody in the world is worried about Anthony Hill. This was in response to whether or not I thought he would be a first-team All-SEC player, and I do think that'll still be the case. We've seen Ty Anthony Smith play very well, Leon Lafau, and everybody in that room still knows that Anthony Hill is the man. He's going to have his time this season, and you'll see the guy stuffing the stat sheet, playing sideline to sideline. He'll get a pick or two this year. and plenty of plays behind the line of scrimmage.
All right, Eric, man of the people, answering the people. I thank you for your time. You guys need to go over to InsideTexas.com. You can join for just $1 and get a full year of access to The Athletic and ask all of these questions yourself. Everyone, have a wonderful day and peace out.